babe.
Hey, babe. How's it going?
Yeah, it's going all good. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah. No, I'm good. I'm definitely ready for the weekend. Just so our listeners knows, it's a Friday today, and I'm ready for a bath and a cup of tea. To be honest, one of those, just that chill out vibe is what I'm needing.
You're a real rock and roll babe, aren't you? You really sort of
Oh,
give it
I know how to live.
one. We were just to give some insight into how much of a grandmother, in all the best ways, Louise is. We were over at your house a few weeks ago for a games night, and the game that we were playing wrapped up at like 9:30, and Louise literally crossed her little hands in the seat, like sat back and looked at everyone like, okay, fun's over, off we go.
Look, okay, my bedtime is at 10 and now my body feels it. It's like, okay, come on, time to start, it's wind down time. It's time to do my 20-step skincare routine and all this jazz now that I'm older. I like
love
my
it.
space. I always sent you a photo actually, because I've got one of those those LED masks. So I sat there with my LED mask.
Do you?
I do.
Infrared ones.
Yes, yeah, shouldn't have done it. I know, but I did.
That is so bougie.
It's so bougie. And I sat there with a peppermint tea reading a book. Yeah. And I was like, this is what middle age feels like. I was like, I actually love it.
That is not what middle age feels like. That's what rich white lady feels like.
Well, that's my dream anyway. So might as well aim, what is it? Act who you want to become. So there we go. Yeah. I'm acting it. Yeah.
That's the outfit. You're wearing the outfit for the job you want, which is an LED infrared mask.
LED. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I've just got the rest of the life to kind of build up around it. That'd be nice, but I'm getting there.
Yeah. The LED mask comes first. The money comes second, babe. That's how it works.
Yeah, definitely. That's makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Amazing. So before we kick off with part 2 of our How to Sell Through Your Website series. So 2 weeks ago, because we'll have a guest episode in between. 2 weeks ago, we did how to sell services through your website. And today we're tackling how to sell products through your website, because believe it or not, there is a lot of difference between the two. But before we kick off with all the learning, with all the educational stuff, we're going to do our little quick fire round of questions to get us all warmed up and ready for fun.
Ready for
all right,
fun.
babe. So I'm hitting you with them this time. You're in the hot seat. Tell me, please, What is your business bugbear of the week?
So I love them dearly, but my business bugbear actually this week has been my dogs. I do love them dearly, but I've been trying to have calls. I've been trying to record stuff, and they've decided that that's not happening. They've decided that they want attention. They would like a treat. Oh God, I bet he's behind me, so I might
don't say that word.
Shouldn't say that word out loud, the forbidden word. So I do love them dearly, but sometimes, especially when it gets to like that DINNER time, oh my goodness, the begging, the tapping on the legs, I've got stuff to do. I obviously do love them dearly, but sometimes it's a bit hard to be a dog mum and do work at the same time. But
preach it, babe.
There we go.
Preach it. Right, what is your favorite meme of the moment?
So it's more of a TikTok, because I'm addicted.
That counts.
It counts. And there's like a guy, and then he kind of gives tips about what to say to men, like if you're being called out. And one of them is that when like a guy's kind of started talking to you out of the blue and you don't want it, you turn around and say, oh, sorry, I don't have any change.
Brilliant.
It's so good. There's so many women just like recording themselves like, I can't believe it worked. And she was like, I got catcalled by like a load of like, kind of men who are like working on something or whatever. And he's like, oh, I love. And she's like, I don't have any change. And obviously they all just like roasted him, and they all thought it was hilarious. So he came off looking like a bit of an idiot, and she kind of just skipped down the road. So I was like, so I'm loving that. Loving it.
That's modern feminism. I love that.
Yes.
So tell me then, what are you reading / watching / playing right now?
Yeah, so I haven't been watching stuff recently. I just haven't had the concentration headspace at the moment, which just happens. I find reading. I've started reading. It's called The Midnight Library, and that's
Matt Haig.
Yes. So I've just started that one. So yeah, I'm plowing for it slowly, but I'm enjoying it so far.
Good.
And playing it's called Cult of the Lamb. So it's kind of like a little pick up and put down game, which is perfect for my very like I need all the different things at once kind of brain.
Yeah, I hear you. That stimulation.
Yes.
All right then, and round us off, my darling, with something inspiring or motivating from this week, like a lesson that you've learned.
Yeah, so this is a bit of a cheesy one, I'm afraid, but it's
Bring
just
it on,
that I
lay it
have
on.
to lay it on thick. And I have to remind myself of it all the time, especially people like us who are very goal driven, future thinkers, is that the reminder that where I am now is like what I would have dreamed of 5 years ago, and that's, I would have loved to, be there where I am now. And so it's just being thankful that I've gone through what I've gone through, or I've kind of worked hard to kind of get here. That reminder, I would have liked it. So I haven't got all the goals that I want, but this is the dream I would have wanted 5 years ago, I guess.
Yeah.
A bit cheesy.
Be here now, baby. Be here now.
Be here now. Yeah, it's easier said than done, though, isn't it?
It is, but it's a lesson that we all need. So thank you for sharing. And I'm going to be enjoying that this evening. Like I said, it's Friday. Soothing on into the weekend. I'm going to be here now, man.
Be here now. Have you got plans for this evening?
No.
That's far more rock and roll than mine. Oh yeah, so you take the piss out of me, but yeah, instantly nothing.
I honestly don't know how people socialise on a Friday. Me and my partner say this all the time. We call it brain fuck Friday, because we literally sit in the same room facing opposite directions, just like this, because our brains are just soup.
Just zoning out. Yeah. I think last Friday I went out with like our friend, but yeah, it definitely took me a little bit of a, come on, you can do this. Have a shower and you'll feel better, I promise. But yeah, it's pretty hard to get that energy back up, isn't it, Friday evening?
Yeah.
Oh dear. Yeah.
All right, well, happy fun times over. It's time to talk business.
Yeah.
So, as I said in the beginning, we are talking about how to sell your products through your website this time. So, Louise, you want to tell us why product businesses should sell from their own websites and not rely on marketplaces like Etsy or Creative Market solely?
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, a huge part of it as well is the cut that these marketplaces take. Yeah. I mean, why are you giving... I can understand you're giving profits to them because they've got the audience and they're kind of bringing it in, but you should be building up your own as well if that is kind of the case, and it's also a security thing as well. If they change terms and conditions, what they're allowed to sell, if they change the countries that they sell to, or even their algorithm, suddenly your business model is like so risky. Again, you want, like with all of these things, when it's your business, you want your customers to be yours. You don't want to share them with other people. And that's the other thing with marketplaces as well. Usually there'll be an advertisement on your product listing, like with eBay and Etsy and all those things, for your competitors. You are giving them space to start comparing, with yourself and with other competitors as well that are maybe selling the same product. So yeah, there's a huge amount of reasons, whether it's costs that you'll actually be getting a far better return, keeping the customers, because then you can have like newsletters, promotional deals, and you've just got a lot more freedom with all of it if they're your actual customers as well.
Yeah, you build that audience, you build those relationships, you keep them in your funnel. I put that in inverted commas because I hate that terminology.
Yes,
but you keep them in your world, you have that kind of relationship with them that goes on. So for our customers that might be thinking, maybe they've set up an Etsy store and they're thinking, okay, I really need to get my business online. What platforms do we recommend for that?
Yeah, so it does depend on the product, but generally I probably would always recommend either Shopify or Squarespace. They are both they're both kind of the key players. There are ones like WordPress that have plugins to do it. It's called WooCommerce is the biggest one. However, that's not really what the original WordPress was for. So it's definitely an add-on. It's definitely a plugin. And for SEO, it's not great. And it's quite hard to work with, to be honest. So yeah, I would say like kind of weigh it up if you have a point of sale. So if you have a physical shop, or if you're actually going around and maybe selling in a market, a lot of these have points of sale. So that means that you can take payments, but also all your payments are going through the same system, and also it helps with like if you've got inventory management and things like that. You don't want to then be going, oh, I've sold it in person now, I need to update my website and the database, so you've got to think about those things and how they all link together. But yeah, I would say Shopify and Squarespace, they are definitely the two top ones that I would recommend for you selling online.
Yeah, totally agree. I think they are, like you said, they're the key players. I think just have everything that you need. WordPress, it'll do the job, but it'll hurt you for it. So
yeah. Same
okay.
with Wix. I know that Wix is another popular one, but yeah, we get quite a lot of people who were moving them away from Wix because it's not
it's just not working
platform
for them, is it?
No, I think it's very hard to get decent SEO on that one. I just don't think it's
their analytics aren't great either, which you know we'll talk about in a bit more detail. But having subpar analytics on an e-commerce store is a bit of a pain. You're gonna struggle.
It's very difficult. Yeah.
All right then. So do you want to kick us off, get us started on our 5 top tips for selling products on your website?
Yes. Okay. So this one's fairly obvious, but it's surprising by how many people kind of almost don't think about this one. It's about your product images and descriptions. So you need to take multiple, if you can, clear, beautiful photos in a range of situations as well. You know, people like to, if it's clothing, they like to see it on a person. You know, it looks so different on a hanger. You know, you need to be, and if you have got the budget for a proper photographer or kind of set staging and things like that, it's so worth it. It really does make a huge difference than just kind of laying something on the bed and trying to take some nice photos. You know, it's just a world of difference when it comes to business and people actually wanting to buy it. If it's like a process, or it does depend, but like show every phase of it as well, like show every step. You don't want the audience to have questions about what the product is, about how it works, about the size of it as well. That's nothing worse, is there, when you go and order something and it arrives and it's absolutely tiny, isn't it? Because you feel like you've been duped. You're like, okay, I thought that was like a huge thing, and that's actually just tiny, so that's not going to fit, is it? So yeah, that is really key. You just want to make sure as well it matches the style of images match the target audience as well. So, you know, we work with mainly females, you know, so our branding kind of matches that. It'd be the same with the product photos as well. You know, if your business is aimed at like kind of corporate, they're not going to want like the really like fun, bubbly kind of images. They're going to want more of the white background, clear display. This is exactly what you're getting, that more official kind of look. And then the description wise, you really want to go in depth about, again, you don't want the audience to have questions about it. So a great example is like maybe if it's a beauty-based product, maybe you don't want to show it all at the same time, and so it's really nice to have those kind of tabs that you will see, so you can click and hide, like it will show and hide different bits of content, because I might want to know the ingredients, I might want to know the returns process or the shipping process, and also the how to use. All of that information I do need, but I may not want it all at once, because I mean, as we know, if you give your audience a big wall of text, they are not going to read it. And they're going to scroll away, to be honest with you, as well. So definitely that key information, but don't let them have questions, you know. And if you do need a space for like an FAQ, put it in there. If you're constantly getting questions about certain products, about how do they use it or what size it is, you know, you need to be answering those questions in the description. Yeah, I think that's key on my little rants there.
I totally agree.
Yeah,
no, I just think it's really important. No, definitely not. I think you're really thorough. I think it's really important with that kind of research information, when people do want to dive a little deeper, like you said, to have all that information available, but make it optional. Like exactly like you said, do not present people with these huge walls or pages full of information and expect them to rifle through it. They won't. They'll go, oh, this is too much for me. And like you said, they'll click away. So yeah, I think that really is, for me, feels like the biggest takeaway from that.
Yes, yeah. And as I was saying about getting a copywriter, getting a photographer, it may be the case that you need a copywriter, because I think the other thing we see, there's a balance between giving them the information that they need, but then we also see the opposite, which I think the best way to describe it is, you know, when you look up a recipe online and it says about like how their grandmother's like orchard used to grow apples. You're like, just give me the recipe for the apple pie, and you've got to scroll through all of this
scrolling
rubbish
through your phone like this, just
absolute nightmare, which they do for SEO, and I get it, but absolute nightmare. You know, you also don't want that kind of stuff on your product. You don't want to know like that they went to, you know, they source their own things. You know, you might want to know, but sometimes it can be a bit too much. So it's that balance.
But then one of those like fantastic things that we see, which again, it gives you the information, but it makes it optional, is when at the top they have the jump to recipe button.
Yes. Perfect. Yeah.
Don't make me read it. Have as much information as you want. And so I imagine there's a lot of people out there that would gleefully read that post and they would feel really good about it and it would make them feel connected to the author. If you're not a person that wants that right now, having that option, just go, nope, jump to recipe. You've still got them. You've still given them that value. You've still got them in your world. You just haven't forced this story about your grandma's orchard down their throat when they don't want it.
That's exactly it. Yeah, so true.
Perfect. All right. So point number two, my next top tip for selling products on your website is to sell the benefits of that product and not the features. So what I'm talking about here really is emotional selling. So rather than saying, you know, to go back to the beauty brand example, instead of saying, you know, made with a product that, you know, nobody really cares about, this many colors, this much stuff, like actually say things that are going to emotionally resonate with your target audience. So say, you know, tell them that it's the trendiest colors to go on a night out in, you know, they pair with every outfit, they're perfect for that day to night, like classic, all of this kind of stuff. Like understand where your customer is. Are they looking for something that is organic, that is cruelty free? If that's the case, that's what you sell. You sell those benefits of that product rather than just selling the kind of base level features, because that gets boring to read. It just comes across like a bullet point list. You want to really hit your customers in the emotional feeling zone and make them think, oh, I see how this is going to positively impact my life. This isn't just a string of things on my to-do list that I need to get sorted. This is something that is going to cause some good in my life. So yeah, definitely focus on those benefits rather than just the features is what I would say.
Yes. Yeah. And again, you know, if it's something you're struggling with, then maybe look at a copywriter, because it's hard to get yourself in that like frame of mind, you know, especially when you obviously love the product and you've made it, you know, and you're saying like, oh yeah, but it is like it's made of titanium and this, but you're not saying, yeah, but that means it's hard wearing, and that
this
means
is it. Exactly. Instead of saying this is made of titanium, you say this is hard wearing material that will last you 50 years. Like that is a benefit, you know?
Yeah, because I actually have no idea what titanium is, or if it's even real.
Don't care to know. Don't care to know. It could be a made-up thing.
Yeah. My next point, and I don't know if you've ever heard me talk about this, but it's to get serious about SEO. So, you know, and especially with e-commerce sites, you know, it's something that people just think, oh, I'll put up the details and that's kind of it. But it's about knowing your keywords, you know, especially when it comes to, because your product name is generally going to be in the URL for one. It's going to be part of that string that you type into the top box. And it's going to generally be as well the heading 1 tag. So these are both really key for your SEO, because it tells search engine what the page is about. So if you're, you know, selling shampoo or something like that, it tells it. So if someone's searching shampoo, that's kind of what it should come up with. So as much as you do want kind of like some fun names, such as like Live Your Best Life Liquid or something, lovely name. However,
what is that?
What is it? What is it? Like, you know, the search engine won't be able to kind of recognize and know that is. So you need to make sure that you really are putting the standard kind of phrase into the product name as well, at least for like SEO reasons. You know, so it needs to be shampoo, you know, liquid gold, whatever hell reference I said there. You know,
I think you said Live Your Best Life Liquid, which I adore.
Very bizarre there. Well done, brain. Friday
I thought that was
brain.
just tequila, but okay.
Yes, yeah, could be either. So that's like super important. You know, long tail keywords again with this can be helpful. So if you can write blogs and content about it, maybe about how to use it, or get other bloggers to give kind of reviews about your product as well. You know, I mean, that's more like affiliate and things like that, but there are so many key things that you can do with it. Page structure, most of the content management systems should be set up really nicely to work well. So unless you have a developer or you're very confident with your technical skills, don't change it. Like don't try and do some crazy stuff that I've seen in my days. Generally they are set up to be fairly good. So unless you're very confident or have someone that you can pay to do it, keep with what they're giving you, because that is generally the best practices. The only thing I would add as well, so some content management systems have it out of the box. I know that like Shopify does, is product schema. So this is a bit of code that will go at the top of the product page, and this tells Google exactly what it is, and it will tell it the price, it will tell it if it's on sale, quantity, you can tell it any kind of number of things. So Shopify does it just out of the box. I think Squarespace might do it as well, and if not, you can add that in as well.
Squarespace do in their e-commerce package.
Yes, in their yes, yeah, no, they do. So those things are really key, and they should be out of the box as well. But this is fantastic because it tells Google exactly what it is. So if someone then goes to say, I'm looking for shampoo, and they go onto that shopping tab, that's how kind of you appear there, because they're not guessing. They know exactly that it's a product, it's shampoo, and this is exactly the price and how much is quantity. So you are just kind of helping Google and other search engines as well kind of understand what this page is about. So there we go. There's my SEO for every podcast that I need to kind of slip it in there, don't I, at least? There we go, SEO again. Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't be a web design podcast if you weren't constantly telling us about the joys of SEO. So, exactly. It's all good. All right, for my next top tip, I'm going to refer us back to an episode from a couple of weeks ago where we had Lara Glover, the e-commerce handywoman, on. She came to talk to us all about boosting the conversion rates of our websites. And she talked about something so interesting that applies mainly to e-commerce brands. So I want to share that now. And that is the kind of 5-step thing that she looks at when it comes to improving her conversions. So the first thing out of those is clarity. So what this means is ensuring, like you were just talking about just then, ensuring the messaging and the value proposition on your website is crystal clear. Mm-hmm. People know when they land on your homepage, on your product pages, exactly what it is that you're offering and exactly what they will be receiving. So that means that your names of products need to be super clear. Your homepage needs to be super clear about what it is that you sell and to who. Your images need to make sense. Everything. You don't want people landing on a product page and being confused by what they're seeing. Okay, they're going to drop off. They're not going to purchase. So make everything crystal clear. The second point of that journey is friction. So we want to remove any obstacles that make it more difficult for visitors to complete actions. So this is things like taking out unnecessary fields in sign-up forms or purchasing forms.
Yes.
Give as few steps as possible. Even something like if you have a 2-step checkout process, make that 1 step. Have everything all on the same page so that people aren't overwhelmed by the kind of amount that they have to move through that process. All right.
Yeah.
It's all about just making sure that everything is as smooth and as simple as possible so that you keep the maximum number of people from the beginning of the checkout journey to the end.
Yeah.
Point number 3 is focus. So we talked about this a little bit on the services episode of this 2-parter. And this is about making sure that the call to actions or the goals of your pages are really clear and that you have one per page. You're not distracting people with different offers all the way through the page. You just want it to be super clear, super focused, super streamlined. Okay, number 4 is motivation. So this is making sure that you're encouraging people to buy the product through things like your language. You're selling the benefits, not just the features. Your SEO is targeting the right kinds of customers, the right kind of audiences. Your photography is on point. Your copywriting's on point. All of this good stuff. You can add things like urgency. So if you want to do a time limited sale, that can work quite nicely. Customer reviews are a really good way of adding to motivation for your users, because they read something and they think, oh, this has worked fantastically for this person. It can work fantastically for me too. So make sure that you're giving customers the incentive to buy. Mm-hmm. And then the final point is relevancy. So align your website content, your design, and your marketing with the appropriate target audience. Okay, so make sure you're doing your research, make sure you're doing using language that resonates with those people, make sure that you're helping them to achieve goals that they have and overcome struggles they might be facing, all of that stuff. So make sure that your website is relevant, you're giving people the motivation to buy, you're keeping their focus by not distracting with loads of different goals, you're removing any friction, and you're making sure there's clarity on what people are actually purchasing. So that's a big top tip. But definitely listen to that episode of the pod if you haven't already. Lara had so much important information to share, really valuable stuff. So that is my top tip.
Well done. Yeah, no, it was a great podcast, even though I did feel like I was being replaced doing it without me.
You asked not to be involved. You had a second commitment.
I know. But yeah, no, it was a really great podcast. And I think, and it's funny actually, because when you go through those points, I'm kind of sitting here like, of course, like, and it makes sense, but it's so easy to fall into any one of those traps of being like, oh, and I'll also do an upsell at the side. Or like, do you know what I would like for my own kind of analytics? I would like to know this information about the user. So I'll just add this into the checkout. It's so easy to fall into those traps. But yeah, when you have like a real clear list of this is what I should be doing to properly make it as smooth as possible and the best kind of selling point for the customer, you know, that's when it's key. Yeah, so it's so important to be reminded of that all the time as well, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So my final point is, and it's so key with e-commerce, and also it's difficult, and it's one of the hardest points, I would say, to get not necessarily get your head around, but to work with, is driving traffic to your website. So generally, I mean, it does depend on the product, but you're probably looking at a 1% conversion. So that means if you have 100 people looking at a particular product on a day, probably 1% of them will buy it. And that's just, it doesn't mean that the content's not there, the images aren't there or something like that, but it's just because everyone's on their phone. There is so much selling now on your phone as well. Everyone's able to buy it from anywhere, and there's a lot of people browsing, there's lots of people looking at it, they'll go away, they'll come back, you know, there's so many different reasons. So it's not that conversion rate is bad, that's actually pretty standard. So really, if you want to get more than, you know, one sale a day, and even that, you need to make sure that particular product has 100 people looking at it. If you want more than one sale a day, you need to be getting thousands, really. I mean, well over thousands. You know, it's just one of those things, and it's real hard for especially small businesses starting out to get that, and you've really got to keep working at it. So I don't know if I've mentioned this, but SEO obviously is very key for it. But you can use things like social sites as well. So like Pinterest is really good, like Instagram. You can try things like advertisements. It does depend again on your products for how good, or, you know, if that's relevant for you. Influencers as well, that is extremely popular, you know, now, and you know, or affiliate linking, affiliate marketing, you know, so for people to kind of say that they've used it and kind of recommend, and here's a link, and, you know, we've all seen that, you know, and it works surprisingly well. And email marketing as well, which I think we talked about earlier, and why it's key to have your own audience as well for these things, is that once they've bought something, you know, try and give them an incentive to, you know, to sign up, you know, because then you can go, oh, and here's a 20% discount, here's like your payday, you know, we've all been dragged into it. I know that myself, and my emails are the amount of times that I've bought stuff that I didn't really need, but I thought, you know, I think it's that meme, isn't it, of like girl maths, is that secretly, because it's like 50% off, I'm actually saving that money, so it'd be silly of me not to.
Yeah, you know, so, what a waste of 50%, you know.
Oh, exactly. You know, and they do, you know, it depends on how much you want to go into marketing. They do the trick of like, oh, it's only for this weekend, and it's this, and, you know, and especially you can be very clever with it now, and a lot of the content systems such as like Shopify and Squarespace have these dropout checkouts where they say, oh, would you like 20% off? This is what you left behind in your basket. I mean, then you're really kind of pushing it and really targeting it, you know, to the audience. So there's lots of tricks like that to do. And it does take work, but it is so worth it. And it's one of those snowball effects Then once you do start getting the traffic, it kind of runs a lot by itself. All of these things are automated. They don't really need you to be doing it. I mean, other than probably the email marketing. But again, you do that in batches usually. Okay, this is the date that these discounts are going out, So
yeah,
it takes a while, but so worth it in the end.
Yeah, it is just a bit of a mindset shift, really, isn't it? Because you really do, when you're selling e-commerce, you really do have to focus on quantity as well as quality. And like you said, when you have a standard conversion rate is like 1 to 2%. So if yours is even a bit lower than that, you need thousands of people every month to be hitting your specific product pages to make 10 sales. So yeah, really important to know. And you see so many small businesses just getting started out selling products online that get frustrated 3 months in because they're not making sales. And you think, look at your analytics, think about how many people are actually coming through that door. It's not going to happen that fast. Like you said, you have to use all those channels available to you that you just mentioned and build it over time. And then it will snowball, like you said. Yes. So really excellent points.
Yes. Yeah. It's just it's a hard lesson to learn. But there's, unfortunately, unless you've got a whole ton of money for some advertisement or to get someone on board, but they don't last long often. It's just one of those things. It takes time. As they say, if it was easy, everyone would do it.
Everyone would do it.
Everyone would do it. God, I feel like my mother. Everyone would do it.
Right, my babe, before we wrap up, I just want to let everyone listening know that we have a free SEO checklist available to download from our website. So if you've been listening to this two-parter, thinking, okay, SEO is really something I need to get on top of, head to our website now, head to the freebies page and download our business boosting SEO checklist. It will start helping you make your website do the hard work for you so that you can take a bit of take your foot off the gas a little bit of a lot of that organic marketing. Get your website really working hard to target those customers, win you sales and inquiries, all of that good stuff. Okay. And when you're showing up on that front page of Google, it's just, what a life. It's joyous. So our SEO checklist will help you to do that. You can download that now for free from our website. If you do, make sure you send us a DM on Instagram and let us know how you get on. We'd love to hear from you. But otherwise, that is it for today. We've covered a lot of ground, I think. Super valuable episode, I think. Yes. Combined with the first part of this, where we were talking about selling services, there's going to be so many websites are going to see such great success from this, and I'm so happy.
Certainly, let's hope so. And it means we can both go and enjoy our weekends now. Woohoo!
Yay!
Bath time.
Podcast recording to bath time.
Bath time. Get the rubber ducky.
I hope that you enjoy that bath, my darling. You've earned it.
Yes, thank you very much. And I hope that you enjoy just staring out into space in your living room. There you go.
Thank you so much. I will. It's my favourite Friday activity.
Oh, brilliant. Bye, guys.
Bye.